Good morning and thank you for joining me. This is Laurie of Laurie's Heirloom Sewing. And today I'm going to do a little video on a couple of things. So I don't know if you have a set of these or if you've wondered what they are or if you've wanted a set but didn't really know, well, could I use them or not use them, or just I have no idea what those are. Why do you have them? So they help you make binding. And this was a set that all of these right here were in one set. So the way they work is they're interesting. This one, I don't have much luck using it because it doesn't have a channel through which I can stick a pin to pull fabric through. Now I think, in theory, it's supposed to just go, and I don't know. I've really not. I've tried to use it once and didn't have much luck. So we're going to try it again. I'm going to cut a small piece. Basically what you're doing is you're cutting strips of fabric. Now you can cut on grain and you will get a trim like we have over there on that vase that I just did. Or you can cut it on the bias, and one of the really cool things about cutting your fabric on the bias is that you can shape it using your iron as it is being released from this device. Trim maker, I think is what they're called. Something along those lines. I will try to link. Ooh, I might have bought, well, I might be able to find them. I think I bought mine actually in Joann with a coupon a long time ago. This may be too thin. But the basic idea is that you push it through. I might be able to get a pin on the end down there. And you're looking for it to come out here. And usually what I do is I take a straight pin on these. It's a lot easier. I push this through. And while this looks like that's a device for your thumb to do something, it doesn't really, other than maybe, help hold. And the whole idea is that you do this at the iron and you don't get burned. And I will reinsert it. And if you have used one and you've used this little teeny one, this is, oh, do you guys realize I just saw on the bottom is my slot right there? What do you know? I think that's what that's for. I believe so. Look at that. Okay, and do you see as it's coming out of this little binder maker, it is folding it on top of itself. And with one this small, it would be impossible to do at the ironing board. But I'm going to demo that as well, so we might as well use this one. And let me And the reason, oh, excuse my hand, the reason that I brought this up is there are a lot of really good things that you can do with this trim. They're not all necessary to sewing. Crafting is one of the best uses of this trim, and with the holidays coming up, it's a great way to use up some of your extra fabric, your cabbage, and make ribbon trim. Okay, so what I do is I just put my iron here, and then I'm trying to get it where I can see what I'm doing and see if you can see what I'm doing. I don't know if it's working. Let's see right there, and then you just pull with this little handle using your iron to just, I don't know if you can see, that's the only thing. Let's try some more. Oop. Now this little bitty one is a little bit harder to manipulate, but it's definitely easier than trying to do this without the help. Maybe this is better here, like this. And you can just turn your iron sideways like this and then just pull, because this can take the heat. So I don't know if that's showing up, but I'm pulling the trim out on the other side. Yeah, I think it's showing up, of my iron. And that's why they're metal. Okay. And so here we have, this is still hot, this is what just came out from under the iron. But so you can see it is pretty much perfectly formed, and it's really tiny, and it would be great, you know, to stitch it down. You could do a zigzag stitch right across that, and then you have a nice little piece of ribbon trim. I use these to tie around vases. If you want some quick and easy, you know, gifts that are super appreciated, I mean, trust me, they really are. Vases from, you know, jars that you've saved with a ribbon tied around, they look so cute. Be aware that the one that you were just using will be hot. But they do, they look really cute. You can take any one fresh flowers from your own garden, stop at the grocery store and put some fresh flowers. So if you have these, or you have wanted to get them and didn't know if they would be useful, I know they're great for quilters. A whole lot of other projects do super well with each of these and all of these sizes. And honestly, this was the first time I'd ever used this one, because until today, I kid you not, I did not know that that had the little slot on the bottom. I plan to cut fabric for each one of these sizes, and we'll just see how it looks. Alright, so I have this fabric, I have this beautiful fabric, and of course the pink fabric. So we've already used the green. I will put this here. I think the yellow, I will do this lovely vintage rose. I'm not really sure if that's what it's called. And as far as choosing the size, I just kind of go based on this. I have no idea if this is right, but it's the way I do it. Based on this opening on the back. Slightly bigger, but not too much bigger, because as it folds in, you want it to meet in the middle, like that right there. So let's just give this a quick measure. Oops. So here is the fabric, and it looks like the fabric is just like a hair bigger, but not by much. So you honestly could just measure it based on that measurement right there, just the width of this, to end up with a perfectly aligned, where the center is exactly matching up with the fold, like that. Okay, so I just kind of take this and a marking pen, and I just mark it close to the where I want to start cutting the fabric. And again, there's probably, 100 other better ways to do this. Okay, and I don't have my cutting mat available to me at the moment, so I'm just going to tear. Ooh, I'm going the wrong way, so we'll do it this way. So I need to press this, since I did tear, and then we'll run it through the yellow. Let me get you set up over there. Okay. Remember, on the larger sizes, like this yellow, we have that slot is on the front, so you'll need a pen, and we'll just push that through, and then I just take a straight pen, any straight pen will do, and you'll be able to see that you can hold, grab onto that fabric and then it just comes right out through that opening right there. Alright, now I'm going to turn this so that this point is facing my iron, like that. Now with the Oliso, unless I take off the eye touch, I can keep my iron down if I turn that off. And then all I have to do is just pull and press. And when the fabric starts to emerge from this other side over here, I can just pull that. And I'm not pulling it real fast, I'm just kind of slowly letting it come through. And there we go. So now we have this size, and that's just so simple and easy. I could really do this almost all day and just create ribbon after ribbon after ribbon. And move the iron. Oops. I just find that it works a little bit better for me if I just set the iron here, and then, oh, I forgot to turn off my eye touch, and then just pull. On the fabric. And then I get a nice tape or ribbon. It's definitely a little bit smaller than I had intended. However, that is still great, and that starch really did give it some good body. Okay, and then the final larger one is the blue. Just a slight little amount, just kind of pull it. That'll help kind of get that first fold in the right place. Okay, so I really love the way this works. It's just great for trim making. I have not burned myself once, and if I would be doing this For any other project, my fingers would just be blistered by now. Okay, I forgot to turn this back on and scorched my ironing board cover over there. And here is the pink daffodil, which is just precious. I love these. I think they're a great use of cabbage. Okay guys, so I have the little blue bow, and as you can see I used kind of a contrasting thread. So I've also done this, and I kind of did a wavy zigzag, so I was going back and forth like this, and now I'm going to do a really large straight stitch, and I'll show you why in just a minute. It's going to pull this up and kind of ruffle it. So you'll see what that looks like. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to point out is when you're doing something like this, if you want it ruffly, just hold your finger behind your presser foot and it will kind of push it up like that. Now I need to pull on the bobbin thread. If I pull on the needle thread, it will lock my stitches, and that's not what I want. See how it's gathering? Right, so now if I want to, I can take this little blue bow that I made and attach it by stitching it, or hot glue if I chose, to the little green, and I have a unique but cute bow for a package. And the same thing, you know, with the pink. You could do a pink bow if you wanted to, or you could tie this around a jar like we did earlier for a gift of flowers. Okay, so you might remember this is my button jar, and at one time this was a flower vessel that I used to send flowers over with my youngest daughter. This ribbon has not been folded like this, or this fabric. This was just a little piece of flannel that I tied into a knot and kind of frayed these edges. But look how simple these are to switch out. So if I wanted to, I could add this and have like a matching set, or I could do something completely different. I would have to fold this down to get it to fit around the neck, or I could do a little ruffly, which I think I like. This is too cute. Take the pink and just slip it behind like I did on the earlier vase. And tie a bow. Moving on, so these I need to put back. I am going to do a garden tour today, but I'm kind of waiting for the weather to decide what it's going to do. When I first started out my day, it was very cloudy, and then it went into bright full sunshine. I mean, the sky was blue. I didn't see any clouds, and I was out there walking around, and I thought, oh, there's too many shadows. It wouldn't work well right now. So then I took Bam Bam for a walk around the block and got the mail that I haven't picked up for a couple days. And came back home, got settled in, went outside, gathered up these and decided, oh, it's perfect for a garden tour right now. Came inside to get the camera, and this is what has happened. See? It's all cloudy and yucky. So we're just going to do a little bit more Laurie's Heirloom sewing side. And then as the day progresses, if we lose these clouds or the cloud cover burns off, then we'll do a 3 Acre Lake discussion and then the garden tour of Shabby Versailles. And if that wasn't confusing, oh, you're way better off than I am. All right, so I finally finished apple butter that I was working on. So it's finally done. I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and I am going to press it. I just took it out of the hoop a few minutes ago. So the next one in line is the sweet tea, which is right here, which I wrote up the other day. The only thing I'm not too thrilled about is the fact that there's one lemon, and I need like a glass of tea, or maybe a... because there's no lemon. In fact, I'm going to take the lemon off. There's no lemon in sweet tea. That's silly. Okay, so this one is done. I need to come up with some kind of a sweet tea design. Let's think about this. Sweet tea doesn't normally come served in a teacup. It is generally in a glass with ice. I don't know. I'm going to have to think for a little while. Okay, so one idea is a little dish of sugar cubes, and I think I will try, put a glass right here with perhaps tea. We'll see what it looks like. Ooh. And there's my sugar cubes. Okay, so while we're on the topic of this, the other one is going to be biscuits. Okay guys, so this is the September garden tour. It's going to be kind of noisy because, you know, we have airplanes flying overhead, but we'll just have to do the best we can. So this is Blueberry Manor. We've been working, I'm sure you can tell, we've been working out here. This mum has like tripled in size from last year. It was just a small little clump, and I don't know what happened. I think I planted it over here in Blueberry Manor, and everything always does well in this area. I don't think it suffers from any kind of soil issues. I mean, look at the cosmos. They have trunks. I'm kind of taming back the lamia that had completely filled in this area. I wanted it to kind of go more this way and less this way. So I'm down to a small little section, and it'll just keep going, so I'm not too worried about it. This is Mrs. Tingley, the camellia that we had in the front. She's been kind of recovering. The front has verticillium bacteria in the soil, and it's a real problem because of the overabundance of watering that is done out in that area. So she suffered from chlorosis, and the reason for that is if the pH of the soil is not adjusted properly, the plant root system cannot absorb the nutrients, namely iron, from the soil because it is bound up in that pH. So taking her out of that soil and amending the soil that she was in the pot and making sure that her water was regulated, hopefully, I mean, as you can see, we have a whole bunch of buds and new growth. Look at that new growth right there. And typically this variety blooms in November, so we're hoping, really hoping. And then you can see that we have started working on this area right here, and we're hoping to turn this into a cut flower bed. We have a pumpkin right here. If I can see, I'm kind of blinded by the sun, but there's that pumpkin right there. And the vine is growing right up into and out of the rhodie right there. Okay, and then I really can't see, but I'm just going to kind of point out, this is red prairie fire grass. It is a perennial. And I'm not, to be honest, I don't know what this is. It was part of the wildflower collection that my oldest daughter sent to me for Mother's Day. And it hasn't bloomed. The leaves kind of smell like mint. So I don't know. But I'm just going to let it stay. This right here is the pot that Mrs. Tingley, the camellia, was in. I have a couple surprises over here in Shade Palace. So let me see if I can get this camera. Okay, so this is Bells of Ireland. I planted that from seed. These are little petite gladiolas that have come up. And look at this. Right here, I have a lupin. Finally, after all this foliage growth, there's an actual bud right there. There may be more. I don't know. That's the only one I have found so far. And here we have I did do a video on the sort of the uplift refacing of a couple of things that my youngest daughter, who lives in this area, did for me. This was one of them. It was black, and she kind of gave it a light dusting that made it look a little bit more like concrete, and that is really more my style. So I'm happy with that. Here's another clump of lupin. I don't know if I have any buds in this or not, but it's very healthy. It's growing like crazy. And this is more red prairie fire. And then we have the tall gladiolas right here. That one apparently will be yellow. I have no idea. That looks like it might also be a yellow. There's a couple more hidden throughout. Here's one right here. Honestly, I can't remember how many of these bulbs I planted. It might have been 10. The calla lily has really taken off, and I love the variegation on those leaves. I think it's really pretty. The mandevilla has just taken off. There's lots of new buds and healthy green leaves. There's an airplane. So the lavender is a recent addition. I like it right there, and it will kind of hang out there a little while after the daylily kind of goes back to bed. Okay, and over here, oh, I was going to show you, wait a minute. Here is a viburnum that is just starting to fill out with these beautiful red berries. I do need to do a little bit of pruning on this. That's my plan. And of course there's the way over my head limelight that desperately needs fertilizer. I've got to get after that. That's where I've been working. Okay, ponytail grass has decided to just kind of really do well. And there's that viburnum I was talking about earlier. It has a different fall growth pattern. Rather than little tiny red berries, it looks like something I'm not really familiar with. We'll see what that turns out to be. Oh, and I did plant the recovered begonias. I had some begonias that just were struggling due to the way too much water, way too much sun, which we really didn't have a lot of sun, but begonias don't like it. So once I got those sorted out, I put them in this pot. And these are tigridia. I'm kind of waiting for them to die back, and then I'm going to pull those bulbs, store them in the garage probably until November. I mean, out here in the Pacific Northwest, that's what you do. And then I'll plant them probably in the front. And here is some more lupin. And again, I don't know, there might be some flower buds in here. The one thing about lupin, you can always tell, ooh, I feel something. Nope. You can always tell because of the leaf pattern. It's very unique. There's the Gara. This Gara happens to really love this spot. This was 2 plants. It just took off. The canes are very healthy looking. It has put out new growth like almost every day. I see something new. So I'm really happy with that. And when I get around here, this is the newest. And if you don't know, this is Edelweiss. This was one of my mother's all-time favorite. It's so unique. Sorry about the airplanes. There's nothing I can do. Harley hates them, so. Okay. Anyway, I just kind of tucked it in right here next to the heather, which is in front of a Lenten rose. The Lenten rose is in front of a bleeding heart that is hiding behind this acer maple tree. And then over here, of course, we have monkey flower, which again, I just adore monkey flower. I think it has to be one of my favorites. I like the fact that it's kind of a ground cover and it has such a vibrant flower. And then in the pot still I have some bacopa. That is a perennial here, and I don't know what the zone is, but whatever zone we are, bacopa does do really well. That's the white, and then of course these are fuchsia, and a very specific type of fuchsia. There's, like, you can see there's some new growth right there. It will just keep producing until it just can't, until it's too cold. So do you guys remember when this was just a tomato that I had stuck in the ground? It's quite large now. I'm very pleased. So, I don't know if it's going to show. Yeah, I have a tomato right here. I have a little cluster of tomatoes. That doesn't look like it's showing. Right here. And then I have some flowers forming here, and they're also up there. But the main thing I wanted to point out is I've been pruning pretty heavily. I don't want the poor thing to feel like it needs to push growth when, you know, it's so late in the year. And having propagated this from a tomato, not seeds, but a tomato, it's amazing to me that it's gotten this far and that it's actually producing fruit. But I'm gonna just keep moving you around. I don't know if this will show right, hang on. So right here I have what is commonly referred to as a sucker. It's growing between two main parts of the tomato. So I'm just gonna break that off. And I did a pretty heavy prune on it a couple days ago, so I'm not really going to prune anymore. But anyway, I thought I'd show you that, and then we'll move on. So these two little guys right here are lemon. I planted from a lemon seed. They're not even considered saplings at this point because they don't have a trunk. They basically just have like a little stem, but they're doing quite well. It will be interesting to see if they form thorns. So, I don't know. And of course these are my other herbs. I have, my goodness, rosemary and parsley and chives, and basil is growing underneath the rosemary. Alright, I'm going to move you to Shade Palace. So this morning, when I came out here, the fuchsia in this hanging basket looked great. Several hours later, and it looks like I haven't watered it in 2 weeks, and I watered it yesterday. Okay. As well, So the Japanese hydrangea here has spent blooms, and I kind of want to clean it up a little bit. It is not a true hydrangea, it's a vine. So you can kind of just cut. I can see where the new is the new blooms are coming out, or the new buds are coming out. I don't know if I can get that up where you can see. So you do kind of want to be mindful of that. And generally all you're doing is just deadheading. Just kind of clean it up. This is a serviceberry tree, and it's got chlorosis. The reason for that is way too much water happens in this area. Either people water too much, or it rains and then they continue to water. But anytime you see leaves that have lost their color, like those did, with a dark green vein down the center, that means you're dealing with chlorosis that you have to treat with iron. You can kind of tell. Looks like a lot of leaf curl too. That can also be from earwigs. Earwigs are real bad about causing that problem. The leaf curl anyway. So I may have to treat that one with something. I don't like to use chemicals, but if I'm going to, save the tree, I may have to. But you can also take off the damaged branches. They'll grow back a new branch or two. See that discoloration and that dark green vein right down the middle? It's kind of funny how things respond. I moved a rose and it has just flourished back here, and it's in a place that most roses would just absolutely hate, but not this one. It's doing just fine. Give you a peek at it. There you go. Okay, so before I really end the tour, a couple things. I wanted to point out, if you have a shady spot in your yard where you can provide fresh, clean water, I do change that water out every day, and then once a week I kind of scrub it out with a very mild baking soda and water mixture to keep it clean. And every day, at least that I'm aware of every day, my husband and I have our lunch and sometimes dinner out on the deck, which is behind me, and we get to watch several birds come. They love to just sit in this clean, cool water. Sometimes they'll fluff their wings around. They just love it, and I like the fact that the water is cool. It's in the shade almost all day, and it's clean. I know that they're not getting exposed to chemicals. Every single solitary day the water is refreshed for them, and on a hot day I might even cool it, take a little bit of that water out and put some cooler water in there. And then what they do for me for providing this is they hop around and they take care of the insect population in this area. So if I had my druthers, I would love to have more bird-friendly features in the different gardens, because that's what they do. They fly into the Big Daddy Mophead, they take care of the insects there, they hop around down here. I haven't had any problems down here. This little acer right here, sorry, I'm trying to hold my gloves under my arm. So that little weeping acer, I've never had a single issue with it. This hanging basket of fuchsias. Absolutely no problems. No white flies, no leaf hoppers, nothing. And the same thing goes true for the bacopa, which I was having problems with on the deck. It was getting just eaten alive. It is on the ground. I don't know if you can see that. It's in a pot, but it's on the ground. And the birds just hop around in there, and they just literally take care of the problem. I have not had a single solitary issue. I would love to have more happy birds in my garden for that reason. So, it's just a thought, something people should maybe consider to be good to our little bird friends. And with that, oh, there's one right behind me. Oh, hey, sweetheart. I'm moving. Just hang on just a minute. That could be a problem. Okay. So anyway, with that, I will... Oh, did you see it? It just flew right by. I will say goodbye, and I will see you in the next video, which of course will be tomorrow, which is Thursday, September 3rd. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks. By the way, apparently the bees like it too.